Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose, and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. As we bring more and more of ourselves to the world and to our lives, we have to learn and grow. We have to experience life in a new way. And as we do that, there's going to be some stumbles, there's going to be some falls. And the tendency is to look at ourselves and believe that we can't do something, or we're not smart enough, or any of the beliefs that will come up that would hold you back or stop you completely. The true answer is learning to have compassion for yourself, to notice that you're doing something that's different. Notice that you're stepping into the unknown with no sometimes directions on how to move or navigate through that space. You deserve compassion. You are an amazing and unique individual here to learn, grow, expand, and spread your love through the world. To do that, you may have to step into situations that you've never been in before. So when you navigate those situations, when you stumble or maybe fall, when you don't make exactly the right decision, make sure that you shower yourself with compassion. And as you do, allow your vibration to rise as you step into the unlimited possibilities that are available to you. I'm with Katie Chonacas today. Katie is an international actor, author, entertainment industry coach, and NFT artist, a modern day Renaissance woman indeed. She is everything but imaginative. She's an artist who uses her profession and the arts to spread hope and love. She empowers others to improve their lives and reach their full potential. Katie, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
I am, Vince. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so grateful to be here. Let's just dive in. I'm here.
You bet. I'm so excited because as I was sharing with you before we started recording, you are just absolutely amazing. You've done so much and are showing up in the world in so many different ways. So could you share a little bit more about who you are and what you're doing?
Oh, sure. Definitely sounds good. I'm here to make an impact. On my worst day, I still make the choice to show up. Okay. Everyone's circumstances are different. No one's better than the other. There's no comparison, no judgment. That's blame, shame. Those things don't work, right? They just do not work. They do not feel good. And even when we know it and when we do it, it's just, we still feel like muck. So it's a choice not to do that. It's a choice to self-love, self-care, to make an impact for ourselves, and then be able to be a ripple effect to spread that with others. So by example of doing this, for me specifically, when I was a teenager, I was sitting home in Michigan and, watching TV, and commercial came on through Children International, how I could help. This was before Hollywood. This was before everyone was, adopting babies, before it became magazine fad trend, whatever, it just had on the pulse. And there were people doing it before it was exposed upon. But when I was a teenager sitting home, I saw Children International come on the TV, that I could help. And I'm like, I want to help. I picked up the phone next to me. I called. They sent me a packet. Renalyn Era from the Philippines was a child. I could help her. And so through the program, Children International, I was able to be pen pals with her. And I was a kid. So I was like, pen paling, that's so cool. I was like, things what people did back then. And I was like, pen paling, that's so cool. And I could make an impact, and I could be a ripple effect and give someone hope in the world without ever meeting them, by the power of yes, to help, to be a helping hand with someone, that my heart energy, my impactful energy, my hope, my vision could be anchored, my heart could be anchored across the world in the Philippines with this child, Renalyn Era, and her family. So I said yes, and she graduated through the program, and I sponsored about 6 other people through the program in Chile and the Dominican Republic since then. But now I don't, and I'm not with the program anymore. I should be, but I still sponsor her to this day. She graduated from the program, but I supported and helped not only her, but her 2 brothers through college. I supported their family and her, grandparents, and her grandpa passed away a couple years ago. But the power of yes and the ripple effect of what that is and what that means to me and the evolution of our relationship through Facebook. The only reason why I have a Facebook is so I can viscerally see her and chat with her. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a Facebook. But it's the impact that we can make and the power that we have by saying yes and or by saying no. So that's, I feel, is a huge miracle in life for myself and, for others as well.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Katie. And as you said, in the lower vibrations, it just doesn't feel good. So let's bring ourselves into the higher vibration. And we're truly one community. If we could bring the world together and really help each other along the way, like you've done, and like so many others do, if all of us could come together that way, this would be a completely different world. You talk about spreading hope and love. You share that you want to help people improve their lives and reach their full potential. What happened in your life to push you in that direction?
So many different things. Great question. But in a nutshell, I grew up, my dad was a cross country runner, and I grew up running cross country. So I learned about short term, medium term, long term goals. And on mybodygraph.com, you can find out your human design. There's 5 different types. I'm a projector. So a visionary, 23% of the population are projectors. So I see the macro vision, but I'm also attuned to the short term, medium term, and long term goals that I learned through cross country running to give me that strength and endurance and platform. Is what I do as an individual affects the whole. So it kind of, my dad was my cross country coach. I had cross country coaches growing up. So it gave me that mentality of mind growth, hacking, and mind, body, spirit, psychological, and what I do as an individual affects the whole, and like it being a collective team sport. So I apply that to life. I apply it to my workplace, and I apply it with people that I coach one-on-one in group coachings, because we're all at different places. My energy level of 1,000 is, a different energy level of other people. And like what someone's like 100 or like 80% is, it's all different. So we can meet people where they are, respect and honor boundaries and where people are, and hold space for people so they can too find their own balance within their own selves, right? So we can hold hands and do that together. And people like you and people like me, we are making an impact. We are out there leading with kindness by, breaking down societal norms and, having this conversation right here to demystify the things that are generational traumas and the old systems that don't work, that haven't worked. So we are here by podcasting and through digital media and by shape-shifting energies and communication, by showing up and showing love, so we can all do this dance of life together, hand in hand, walking on the path. We are in action doing it. It's going to happen. It's happening. It's on its way there.
It certainly is. And now I understand all these amazing things that you've done and how you brought them into your life, being a projector. That makes so much sense now to me on why you've been able to do all of this and the ideas that you've come up with. You've used your creativity in so many different ways. And I want to, this is the first opportunity I've got to share with the imagination how we can bring creativity into different aspects of our life to make that difference. Can you share your journey with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, this could go in so many different directions, but in a nutshell, everything creatively I'm doing, I'm now applying it to Web3, to NFTs, to the blockchain, right? So I'm shape shifting and showing other creatives and humans how they can empower and take their power back to put something on the blockchain creatively. I mean, there are people who I have friends in the space who are in healthcare, who are in nonprofits. They're bringing those sectors to NFTs and to blockchain, right? So into the metaverse and having mental health talks and psychiatrists and doctors coming on, like, and being in clubhouses or Twitter spaces and having these conversations like we're having now with an audience of people hearing things they normally wouldn't hear unless they set up a meeting and they go through the rat race of healthcare to get into a meeting that you hope a psychiatrist gets you or not, and they're overwhelmed by their clients. So I know I just went off on a tizzy, but that's kind of one of the brushstrokes of inspiration that came to me of how I'm pivoting and applying and hacking this, but more in a Web 2 now stance of what you're asking. Could you say the question again so I can answer it from that perspective as well?
Yeah, so you bring creativity into everything that you do. So it's obviously one of your gifts. And many people have the gift of creativity. So I just wanted to have you share your example of how you found ways to bring creativity into making this difference in the world.
Yeah, 1000%. So I go with my intuitive hit. It's an intuitive hit, right? And you follow the curiosity, the number one emotion. All humans, you follow the curiosity, you follow the flow, you follow what excites you. So there's a book by Don Miguel Ruiz. He has the 4 agreements. He also has this amazing book called Mastery of Love, understanding love, that we all have our own dream and we're living in multi-dimensional dreams, and we all have our blank canvas and we get to tell the story and shapeshift that story. So I get to choose what goes on that canvas, and it's like a clean slate, and then I can have a new canvas, or like there's certain colors and there's certain things on my canvas that I don't like. So dismantling, painting over them, taking them off my canvas. So not projecting and like worrying about things that are external, money or those kind of things, but creating from a place of curiosity and creating from a place of interest and following and leading with thy heart, leading in those kind of ways. So I went along and I did a lot of projects, spoken word music videos where I self-financed, self-invested, put those together with people who showed up and did it for no money, but they believed my voice. They like to be a part of something. They wanted to collaborate, and their skill set was styling or music or cinematography or editing. But I produced the video, and then they have a piece of content that they can have in their library of near future work to propel them to get other work, and they're a part of something. So people like to be a part of things collectively, and I have firsthand experience of that. And also I like that as well. I'm very independent, but I also like working on things together, because also I've been at that 1% of the 1% of the 1% that people talk about. And yeah, I've seen a lot of people be very lonely. I felt myself there be very lonely in many circumstances. I know what it's like to feel alone. I know what it's like to be lonely. And I know what it's like to do things on a collaborative level. So there's a yin, yang, and balance, and there's no right or wrong, but you find what works for you. And if you don't know, we discover what works for you. And one hack and tip I can share is this. You do a joy journal for 40 days, and then you do a bothersome journal. So you have a joy journal, and you make a commitment, you write it down, and if you don't write, type it, and if you don't type, record it on your iPhone and just record it. And so for 40 days, with no judgment, write everything down that brings you joy. Then everything on that same day, everything that bothers you. And some days you might show up and you want to get all the bothersome anger, irritations out first, and you empty your cup of everything that bothers you. You get that out, and then you feel this subtle energy and this transfer of energy that shapeshifts to the joy. And you start naturally thinking about butterflies or coffee or toes in the sand. And then you start writing down all the joys. And then like something irritating or something comes up. And then you're like, you go back to the bothersome side and you're like, I got to get that one out. But then after 40 days of doing that, you go back and you circle all the things that brought you joy. For me, it was toes in the sand, toes in the sand. That's my spirit. That's my inner voice. That's me saying, like, girl, you need to get yourself to toes in the sand. I don't care if it's for a day, for a week, like, just do it. Like, take action. Like, your spirit is like, with those 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day that we have, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's a neuroscientist. He's amazing. Watch him on YouTube. Like, we have all these thoughts swirling around, and 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts. And those are mostly negative. So when we're waking up and you're just going around the track of your same circumstances, that's why people want you to build patterns and routines so you stay in good habits and good routines. But steering more focused, all the things that bring you joy, do those things. They don't have to cost any money. They can be sound bowls, playing sound bowls every day. Just play the sound bowls. And then look at the bothersome and whatever bothers you, even if we feel attached to that person, like, oh, it's my mom. I have to talk to her. Can't get rid of her. Okay. But if you talk to her for 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week, talk to her for 45 minutes, talk to her for 30 minutes, because then you're taking your power back instead of overextending yourself and overflowing something you don't want to do. Like, you want to do it. She's your mom. You want to be there for her. But instead of an hour, let me just touch base for 30 minutes and be like, oh, I got to take a call. Oh, I got to have some food, or you just do whatever to get off the call. And the moment will pass. Life does go on. But then if you're doing that, 4 times a week, you're getting 2 hours back of your life. And that's energy you could do to toes in the sand or playing sound bowls, and re-putting the joy back into one's, restoring our own soul, our own self, empowering our worth.
Excellent advice across the board there. And I want to piggyback on top of listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's one of my mentors also, and the work that he brings to the world is so powerful. And really will open your mind and your heart to the possibilities that are there for you. Could you share a couple definitions for us, Katie, so people understand? Because I know there's people that are going to be listening to this that, first of all, they don't understand what NFT is, and second of all, they're not quite sure what shape shifting is. Could you share definitions around both of those?
Sure. NFT is a non-fungible token. So it's essentially, some of it is a JPEG, right? And then that JPEG is actually its own computer on the blockchain in Web3. It's kind of like, remember like a decade ago when you didn't have to print out your flight ticket anymore, and you could just like download the app and scan the QR code, and you can just get on the flight with being paperless?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's where our world is going. When you go to concerts, when you go to restaurants, when you go to the movies, you'll be able to scan something, and you won't have to physically take out paper items or cash, right? It'll just be, you can just scan it. That's one aspect. It goes into a rabbit hole because it's all being created. So there's infinite possibilities for the person tuning in to have great ideas and apply that to the blockchain and find different people who they could get involved with to make those, visions come true, right? Which is really cool. The other thing, shape shifting is shape shifting. So, what I also want to mention about NFTs is, on my popular podcast, She's All Over the Place, the season is about women empowerment. So shout out to the moms out there. I was just using that example about the moms, but shout out to the moms. It was just like first thing that came to my head, but not in regards to my mom, but the podcast is focused on NFTs and women empowerment. So you can soak into more NFT scoops there on my podcast. Shape shifting is pivoting. So Gary Vaynerchuk says it was a Worlds event in 2018 that one idea between two people is worth $4 million. Who knows what that is now in 2022? But that's for one idea. But the most valuable thing, and that's why I thanked everyone, tuning in, you and the person tuning in at the beginning, because we can be anywhere, but our attention is here. And the number one most valuable thing, currency more than money, is our attention. We can only focus on one thing at a time. Really? So for like the people tuning, whenever they hear this and they're tuning, they choose to be here now. And so I honor and respect the space that they choose to be here to connect on this energetic vibration. So that's attention flows where energy goes, being able to focus on one thing at a time. So if all of our energy is focused on talking to someone once a week, because we have to talk to them and I can't quit this job, I have to do this, and we're so emotionally attached to our suffering, we're so emotionally attached to our stuff. So shape shifting is, if you're doing it for an hour, shape shifting is you're pivoting the attention of your energy that you can't see, but you can feel hope, faith, you can feel, you can hear sound vibrations. So instead of 1 hour of focusing on something we don't want to do, what do you want to focus on? I want to focus on that conversation for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes. honoring self, you're going to build your self-worth by shape shifting and honoring. But if you overextend, you're going to resent that person. You're going to think things you don't want to think. You're going to have that little critic inside that's a monster that's nagging at you. And you're projecting your hate and your anger on your mother or this other person who just wants love, who just wants to connect with you. But you're not in the capacity to give yourself in that way. So you're being inauthentic to yourself. So first, don't harp on yourself. Apologize for yourself after you call it out, and attune to, if it's an hour phone conversation, like, do it instead of, 4 times a week, maybe it's once a month. That could, if it's too dramatic, twice a week. Or if it's too dramatic, like I said, shape shift by pulling back the attention and the energy. If I'm going to do something for 1 hour, do it for 45 minutes, do it for 30 minutes. Do not explain it, because the person, misery loves company, and they're going to want to suck all your time and your attention, and they're emotionally attached to you. So we can't explain it. We need to do it in silence and by action, right? And it's not to hurt them. It's to give them more of who we are and the best of ourselves. And they're going to feel better because they know when you hang up the phone, that person's talking about me, or that was a call. We all have those things like, oh, I didn't want to do that, but I had to do it because I feel like I have to. We're creating more space on the canvas for more of what we do want. And we're not only empowering ourselves, but when we empower ourselves, we actually empower the ones we love, and we show other people more respect because we have respect for ourselves and for them in our relationship, where we're raising their bar when they maybe not know how to raise their bar, but we're raising their bar because we're raising our own bar, and we're showing them how we're going to develop this relationship. People treat us how we allow them to treat us.
So true. And as we set the example for others, we also create the life that's more in alignment with who we are, and how to show up in the world even more fully than we are. Something that you shared earlier, Katie, that I want you to maybe expand on a little bit is, you talked about bringing people in with your projects that have gifts, and those gifts all come together to create something that is synergistically much better, much bigger, much more powerful, much more energetic than if one person tried to do it or two people did. How do you create that community, and how can you help people that are listening create their communities?
Well, I pray, I manifest, I come up with it, I go to the curiosity, I come to birth the idea. And so what happens is like this. It's like when I tell my coaching clients this, like when I want to do something, it's like I found out a few years ago, it's very common for women when they produce a child that within the first trimester, it can dissipate. They can have an abortion, not an abortion. They can have, they can miscarry. It's common. So all that in the first so they don't tell people after 3 months. So when it's first happening, the energy is just forming. It's just getting legs of its own. It's just molding and coming together. It doesn't have a strong platform. So if you verbalize it and you put it out there into the world, one, there's the power of intention of putting it out there. And then there's two, the mind doesn't know the difference if you did it or not, right? The mind's a tool. It doesn't know. So if you're out there blabbing, blah, 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 blah to everyone, instead of honing it in and building it so strong like an oak tree, so when you do blah, 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 go tell it to everyone, other people's opinions and thoughts and their negative jabs and their butcher knives of their scripts of what they say, well, how do you know it's going to work out? Or what happened to this? And then you have to explain yourself. You don't want to explain yourself when you're just creating something. So I would say, keep it for yourself when you're birthing something, and when you're an oak tree and it's really solid, and when you choose to then share it, no matter what anyone else thinks or says, you're so confident and strong within that it'll just bounce right off you and it won't affect you, right? So that's really important to do, I feel, when creating something. And then when I do, I show up and I make it happen. I start messy. I don't know how it's all going to happen. I have ideas, but along the way as a human, it's life. And along the way as a producer, right? Things are going to happen. But when that thing comes up, do we react to it or we respond to it? If something comes up and, oh my God, this location's not available. Okay, we just cut that scene up. This thing came up it was supposed to be this amount of money, but now it's this amount of money. What can I do within this amount of money to make it happen? Oh, that's what it is. Oh, this is the hard stop. Do I have a wiggle room for 2 weeks because I made a hard stop? This project is going to be 3 months, but I need 2 more weeks. Extend it 2 more weeks and be kind with myself and be kind to others and be kind to myself, or be a raging bull. Rah, it has to be done, blah, blah, blah. And then you're ruining the energy of the project. Or you know what? It has to be done. Okay, it has to be done. So it's going to be the completed project. It's going to be the best. It's not going to be the exact image I thought in my mind because it's an illusion. But that's the part of the beauty of life and the curation of creating art of, hey, there might have been hiccups or it was supposed to be this, but it turned out to be this. And then having the gratitude and the deep compassion for self to not explain to other people, oh, it was supposed to be this, but it came out like this, and dismantle your self-worth and what you created. Life is about creation. As long as we create it and put it out there, it's not our responsibility if one person hears it or the whole world hears it. It's not our responsibility how they receive it. It's our opportunity to create it and put it out in the world. That is our job. That is our right as human beings, as creators of this planet, creating it and putting it out there, utilizing our imaginations, taking our imaginations with other people, gifting them an opportunity to empower themselves to use their imaginations, and we put it out individually or collectively as a project, and we put it out there. Everything else will come full circle.
I'm going to try to bring that all together in pretty much what you said. In controlling your life, it's really working in collaboration with the universal energy and the energy that's available to each and every one of us. And I think that's so powerful. And also, I would just want to reiterate, be kind to yourself, have compassion for you. First of all, if you can't be kind and compassionate to yourself, you're not going to be kind and compassionate to anyone else. But also you open up the door for so much creativity when you allow yourself to experience things that don't work exactly the way you want. And if you can look at it from a place of, it's okay, you're still a good person, now you're not afraid to continue to step out. And I think you shared that so eloquently. Believe it or not, we're almost at the end of our time, and I want you to share a piece of guidance that you want everybody to take away from this podcast. What would that be?
Okay, well, the thing that comes up, because it's an extension of what you just said, which was beautifully said, thank you, is not only with ourselves, but when we see someone being angry or doing something, us being able to observe they're having a bad day. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with me. This person is having a hard time. If they're being mean to me, that means they're being 10 times harder on themselves. When someone at the grocery store and someone's being mean or saying something, anything, it shows their character and it shows their where they are, on their journey, and it shows what they were taught. But it's not them. They're not to blame. They were once two children who were in unfortunate circumstances, and it happened to them. It's like we're all children of the universe. And when we're children, oh, kids, oh, the kids. Well, look at Child Protective Services. Look at the kids who are in these homes. And it's so hard to get children out of these circumstances. But then those kids, they become adults and they rob people, they kill people, they do hurtful things because they were the kids who were being hurt. So now they're just adults running around like, because of how they were circumcised. But then what humans do, look at that guy, look at that girl, look what they're doing. And then we blame them, but they're not to blame. They're the same people who were the kids, where government, and society under rules and regulations couldn't help those people and those families. So we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, it's so important.
Think about that.
Yeah, it's so important to realize that we are all one. And the interactions that we have affect us just as much as they affect them, and what they do affects us and affects themselves. What we do affects them and affects ourselves. So I think that's so powerful in the way that you shared that too. It's really time for us to come together in a community of one, instead of the separation that we allow to continue to happen. And as you said,
we allowed.
Yeah.
We don't allow it anymore. We don't allow it anymore, right? We're not allowing that anymore. We're better than that. We're showing up, and we don't blame the past. We don't blame. It got us to where we are, and we get to roll up our sleeves and do some of the work. And it doesn't have to all be all ugly. With the divine feminine in all genders, we can handle it with grace. We can transmute it and respond in an unconditional love way. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, like, oh, we're not together. Like, I can't talk to you anymore. No, you were with that person. You can still befriend that person, but it's how we respond to it. And that's our own inner self work, because how we react and respond to it, it shows our character and who we are, and our evolvement on this journey, which is the number one thing, because it's our gift that we're here. It's that miracle that we're here.
That's for sure. And thank you for sharing and ending our time together with the understanding that we're all miracles, and that we brought our own miracle into this world to help others live their miracles. So thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you, Katie?
Oh yeah, two ways. So Chonacas.com, people can get in touch with me to see everything I'm up to, all that good jazz. And then She's All Over the Place podcast. People can tune in there. There's like 72 episodes up. So, an hour, 72 hours of me blabbing away with my guests and stuff.
So awesome. And thank you so much for sharing that. All that information will be available on Katie's show page. Just go to themiracleyou.com, look for Katie's episode. All that information will be available too. Katie Chonacas, thank you so much for your time and sharing with us today. You are a firecracker. There's no other way to describe you. You are a firecracker, and thank you for the difference you're making in the world.
Vince, thank you. You're a mirror reflection. So I honor you. Thank you. And let's stay in touch, and let's collaborate on some things together. We can keep shape shifting and making an impact together.
Sounds like a deal. I can't wait. On behalf of Mary, my wife and business partner, the entire team here at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 Mind Awakening Steps Toward Your Unique Purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.